Jack hosts a successful show, but it never gets the #1 slot. Following his beloved wife's death, he faces a crisis in his life and career. The show's rating is in freefall until he comes up with a banger idea to host a special transmission on Halloween by calling occult experts from many parts of the country. But things do not go as he planned. It's 1971, and the world is facing a massive energy crisis. The media broadcasts chaos, which enhances the fear. Altogether, it is thought that this was the beginning of a satanic era. In the same year, on the 4th of April, Jack Delroy starts his show, Night Owls. That year, the show won audiences' hearts with its entertaining content, and the show remained a hit throughout the year. Hence, the owners signed him up for the show for the next 5 years. Jack has a successful career and a beautiful wife to support him constantly. They have a perfect life and are a happy couple. In addition to that, Jack is a part of a man-only club. The world knows it for its entertaining activities for its wealthy members. But rumors say that people perform satanic rituals in the club to gain power and success in their careers. But despite Jack's efforts, the Night Owls rating started declining. He never won the trophy for the best show. A few years later, Jack's beloved wife, Madeline, suffered terminal lung cancer and died. But before her death, she made an appearance in Jack's show. That emotional show was very successful, but it still could not bring the show in #1 slot. After 2 months of Madeline's death, Jack resumed hosting the show, but its ratings declined. On Halloween evening in 1976, Jack Delroy hosted a particular transmission of Night Owls. The show began with small jokes and Jack's witty sense of humor. At the beginning of the show, he hopes it will be the best show as he wants to top the rating meter at any cost. Since it's sweep week, the rating of this show will decide whether his show wins over Carson's. Hence, he called his first guest and miracle worker, Christo, on stage. He believes that Halloween is a special night when the spirits of the recently deceased return. Therefore, people also wear masks to hide their faces from many angry spirits. Christo has an innate ability to hear the spirits whenever he matches his frequencies with them. Jack gives him the stage to let Christo exhibit something. Christo closes his eyes and senses the presence of a spirit. He wants to convey the message to someone named Peterman. Jack helps him in finding a man with a similar name in the audience. Unfortunately, that man has no connection with the spirit, making Christo a laughingstock. But he tries again and concentrates. Soon he claims that another spirit is passing by. It's a boy who committed suicide a few years ago and wants to tell his mother that he is at peace and wants to know that he loves her. His mother cries and confirms the information that Christo tells. The audience appreciates his effort by applauding, but suddenly Christo seems to fall as he wants to know about someone who knows the name Minnie. The extreme sadness of the spirit affects Christo, but soon the spirit passes and Christo becomes normal. In the break, the program producer, Leo, tells Jack that their most enormous sponsors, marketing head and his wife, sit in the audience. He is happy with the show's content and wants Jack to continue similarly. But Creatu looks highly nervous on stage. Now Jack invites his second guest on stage. He is Carmichael Hague, a conjurer, who joins them on stage with a trick to light his cigar with bare hands. Hague has been working with an institute that finds scientific explanations for paranormal activities. But Hague does not believe in any such thing and offers $500,000 check to anyone who proves the existence of supernatural forces and events. Christo coughs and continues to feel uneasy when Hague makes fun of his ability to make a connection with the spirits. In his opinion, it was only a coincidence that someone could relate Christo's information with her deceased son and accuse it of a pre-planned section. Christian tries to leave the show, but he remains close. And in the meantime, Jack stops him, telling him that the last spirit passed by was his late wife, Madeline. Minnie was her secret name, but Hague thinks it's scripted. At the same time, Christo falls and spits very dark liquid from his gut all over the stage and on Christo's clothes. They immediately stop the show and take Christo for medical intervention. Hague still believes that Christo was only acting. Producer Leo breaks the exciting news that the show is breaking records as the ratings increase. The show resumes and he introduces his next guest as someone who talks with the devil. She is Dr. June and starts a disturbing documentary before he invites June on stage. The documentary is about the first satanic church, which conducted firearm offenses and sacrificed many young kids. FBI took notice, but his followers doused the premises. From the church, they could save only one 10-year-old girl. She has been an extremely tricky child and is possessed by a demon. Jack invites June and the young girl, Lily. Lily extends her condolences on the death of Jack's late wife and looks hugely excited to be on television for the first time. But in the next break, June takes Jack backstage and thinks it's a bad idea to call the devil in Lily on stage as she has become unpredictable. Recently, in her possessed state, she started calling Jack's name. However, Jack convinces June to continue to be a part of his show with his charming personality. As she leaves, Leo secretly tells Jack that Christo died in an ambulance, but Jack stops him from telling this to anyone, including Gus, before the show ends. Gus looks terrified by the program content, but the break ends and the show resumes. Jane shares that she has a PhD in psychics from Stanford University and can confirm that whatever possesses Lily is not a whim. Haig mocks her for confusing the audience, but she shows the dagger and a few things retrieved from the Satanic Church to reinforce her opinion. Haig picks the dagger and acts as if a Satan is forcing him to slit the throat. Lily shares that even though they try, they can't always control the devil who possesses her. Suddenly, an intense supersonic voice disturbs them. Gus senses that his rostrum is electrocuted and cannot turn off the sound. Suddenly, several pieces of glass break, but Haig walks to the sound system and removes the pug. That silences the noise but cannot explain why the glass material broke. Even after watching the terrific exhibit, Jack wants June to call Satan and Lily and insist on his irresistible charms. June agrees that the audience will remain extremely silent during the session as Satan, whom Lily calls Mr. Wiggle, will try to possess Lily thoroughly. But to control her, she needs complete silence and cooperation. Before the live session with the devil, they go on a beak. Angry, June makes her last try to stop Jack and wrap up the section. But Lily and Jack are so excited about what's going to happen. Suddenly terrified, Gus pleads with him to stop calling the things he has no idea about. Al, so he knows that Mr. Wriggles is behind everything and that Christo is dead too. Jack leaves, asking him to shut his mouth until the show ends. Now June instructs the audience to remain calm while Satan enters the world through his only medium, Lily. She begins by hypnotizing Lily and putting her to sleep. After a few seconds, June asks Lily to wake up, but she does not lift her head despite her calling her name several times. Suddenly, Lily's body begins twitching, and she speaks in a horrible, heavy voice with a scarred and terrible face. Lily tries to open her tied hands. Devil calls Jack's name and asks him to remember what he did to his beloved wife, Minnie. He sacrifices her for his success and is ready to ruin June because she finds him handsome. June slaps Lily to stop her, but she cannot do it. Devil accuses Jack of why he did that to his wife, as it is due to him that she received a pathetic death. Suddenly, a light beam encircles the stage and the devil leaves Lily's body. Haig immediately gets up to explain the dramatic events of this section of the show. Because he believes nothing is as paranormal on Earth, Lily apologizes for losing control. But June cries for slapping Lily as she adores her as her daughter. She took her out of the dreadful environment of hospitals and treatment centers and adopted her. One more time, Gus tries to convince Leo to end the show. But watching it get groundbreaking ratings, Leo angrily asks Gus to shut his mouth. Terrified, Gus passes by Haig and tells him that Christo died after puking his whole gut on the road. He genuinely believes the show is getting out of hand, and they must shut it now. This is the first time Hayag has been speechless about the events. But before Jack resumes the show, before the break ends, Leo says that the show is breaking all the records. They will soon get plenty of sponsors and become a part of the Fortune 500. Jack is pleased but confused about how Lily changed her voice when June claimed the devil possessed her. Finding no explanation, he continues the show after the break. Haig claims that he can prove that everything that happened was just a mere hypnotic trick, and nothing was honest about it. Jack dares him to perform something similar, and Haig agrees. Haig takes Gus as a volunteer and asks him to dim the stage lights. He now urges Gus to look at the small watch, and the camera focuses on bringing on the watch. He wants the audience to look at the watch as it spins. After a while, he stops the watch and asks Gus if he knows he is in control of his commands. Gus does not believe that to be true, but as Haig snaps his fingers, it hypnotizes him. Suddenly, Gus starts feeling hot and removes his coat. Haig points out that he has some blood on his neck, and as soon as Gus touches it, numerous worms start coming out of the wounds. He opens the shirt buttons, terrified of the wound. But suddenly, his stomach rips apart, letting numerous worms out of it. Terrified, Gus feels enormous pain in the face, and a giant worm pops his eye out. Gus cries and the audience shouts, watching the pathetic sight. Suddenly, Haig stops it and asks to turn the lights back on. All the worms are suddenly gone, as he only performs a trick by hypnotizing Gus, the audience, and everyone on stage. If that was a trick, Jack insists on watching the recording in front of everyone. To their surprise, the recording has no worms from Gus's body. Everyone except a couple of people in the audience was hypnotized. To prove that Mr. Wiggle exists, Lily wants Jack to show the recording of her part of the show too. June wants to leave the show as it's getting extremely disturbing. But Lily stops her amid tears as it's the day she wants to prove herself right. The recording where the devil possessed Lily starts, and there are no changes. Suddenly, Jack notices something strange in it and wants to play the recording frame by frame. He sees his wife's spirit standing behind him. Haig believes that Jack is once more lying as he sets everything up. Lily's body started twitching, and as soon as Jack touched her, he felt a current flowing in her body. Her hands and feet receive white light, and her face suddenly rips in two parts. The fire is burning in her head, and she twitches Gus's neck when he shows her cross. June tries to control the devil with her necklace, but the devil makes a noose of the necklace and suffocates her. It makes a deep cut in June's throat, and a fountain of blood oozes, leaving June dead on stage. The audience is running to save their lives, and Jack stands aside on the stage, terrified of what's happening. Now Haig shows the check to the devil, but it burns the check and Haig's body. Leo drags startled Jack away backstage. The TV screen shuts down and restarts when Jack stands on stage while Gus announces his entry. He relives all the famous moments from his show. He even sees his wife, Madeline. Now Gus spins a wheel similar to the wheel Haig used to hypnotize. He knows that the devil can hypnotize the whole audience and many people watching the show through it. He pleads everyone to shut their television sets. In his hypnotic state, Jack sees the day he signed with the secret club. They wanted him to sacrifice his most precious thing in life, and he agreed to sacrifice his wife's life in exchange for success. Two masked persons take him to a room with Dabo and his devilish companions. They make him drink a fluid, which he does, and he opens his eyes in a room where he finds Madeline lying on the deathbed. She is happy that he has become number one, but his soul belongs to those cruel people. She pleads with him to do one thing for her, which is to kill her using the dagger retrieved from a demolished satanic church. He inserts the dagger to end Madeline's sufferings, but he opens his eyes and sees that he did not kill Madeline, but he killed Lily. He screams to correct everything but watches dead bodies lying everywhere around him on stage. Nobody is left except him on the show. The movie ends here.